Hamelin's a safe town. It's a great place to raise your kids. And the schools, they're not so bad. I would know. That's why probably so many families move up here. Get out of the city, live that American dream. You watch the news, there's crime and horror everywhere. Not like that here. Well, at least until those poor hydro ones.
Lauren and Jerry, a young married couple, were attacked viciously in their new home in the small town of Hamelin, New York.
I'm not a superstitious man. I wasn't raised that way. But things lately making people nervous, making people see things in the dark that aren't there, bones in the attic kind of stuff, and fantastical horrors. Ain't no ghosts around here except the Holy Ghost. If there were, why would I stay here? Why would parents want to raise their kids with these specters in the dark?
This house, while somewhat secluded, lies between the crossroads of the next two towns nearby. If I were a passerby with violent inclinations, this house would be a pretty smart place to make a quick buck. But fact is, there's no evidence this house was hit for profit.
Among the dozen or so moving boxes inside the home, most had not been opened, but in fact, one that was contained some expensive valuables that would have been easy to steal.
We lifted a set of fingerprints from the box with the jewelry, but it was from one of the homeowners. This was not a burglary gone wrong. This invasion, it felt personal. And it made us think perhaps Megan was involved. What could be more personal than a scorned best friend?
After examining for trace evidence in the living room, detectives took samples of several hairs and remnant blood from the couch fibers. Samples were sent to the lab for analysis.
Unfortunately, the samples didn't contain a root. There's some testing that can be done, but that's not ideal. From those specific samples, we came up short on details. Our biggest bet was still on the blood.
Strangely, despite the extremes to which investigators went to decipher DNA within the blood samples, the concrete evidence kept coming up cold.
So here's the thing. Fresh blood tells a story. You can tell the how from the spatter. You can tell the who from the blood type and the DNA. You can tell the when based on the surrounding evidence itself. That's all obvious, right? Except that in this case, you can throw all that right out the window. The who? Well, the blood types were accounted for, but the DNA samples were inconclusive. Usually that happens when the samples become tainted, but we weren't short on samples. Timeline? Blood was inconclusive there too. We know it happened after the call, but before the investigators arrived. In this case, the blood lies.
The way it was explained to me is this. You find a body in the open, under some leaves, and it's been exposed to the elements for a long time. But DNA gets mangled for any number of reasons. Wild fauna gets hungry, plant life grows over it, you name it. And this blood told that story. Damage from years ago. But the incident was just the day before. So how could that be?
This was shocking to investigators. Bad blood that looks years old, whose types match at least the 3 individuals known to have been there.
There is no manner of science I know that can explain what tainted the blood enough to prevent any kind of DNA analysis. It goes against the laws of nature. Makes you feel a kind of way, you know? Call it religious, call it superstitious.
It's evil. That's what it is. You watch the news, you see the devil worshipping on campus, and abortions. This country's gone to hell. And the saints will walk among us before we get it back.
We'll dig deeper on Part 5 of Horror in Hamelin on Forensics.